everybody, welcome to Unscripted, where we're all about inspiring better conversations and helping people think more deeply and critically about faith, life, and leadership. My name is Sam, and here I am with my good friend Mike. How are you doing today? I like your mug.
Thanks, Sam. It was a gift from someone here at church, so it normally sits on my bookshelf when I look at it, but today I thought I could use a little pick-me-up. So
you're breaking it off the shelf.
We went with the monkey mug today.
Monkey mug.
Yeah.
I like how it's like kind of scratching, in different places.
Yeah,
it's pretty great.
His arm has the handle and everything, so that's good.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And you're doing well today?
I'm doing well today.
All right. Just need a little extra coffee.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with a church in Indiana that I'm helping a little bit, and that's like super fun for me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like spinning in my mind, so I'm maybe a little distracted.
That's okay.
They're experiencing some issues, and they were looking for some help, so it was fun, though. It like jacks me up about church life.
Yeah, totally. That's a big deal. I love that you have had that conversation, because that's not an unusual thing for you to do, right?
No, it happens fairly frequently, I guess.
Yeah, and what does that look like? I'm just curious.
Generally,
this one, but like in general.
Yeah, the general thing is a church out there somehow knows something of us in some way. There's reputations and things, so they've heard about us a little bit or whatever, and they're struggling in some way. Yeah, where we've excelled, and so they'll just call, and they're always super nice. Hey, could you possibly talk about this with us and share some thoughts? We'll explain the situation. So that's super fun for me. When it's your own situation, it's like moving. When you move yourself, it's a giant pain. Yeah. You got to worry about everything and pack everything and what's going to get scratched and all that junk. But when it's someone else's move, it's kind of fun because it's a great day in their life and you just carry boxes. You just do what you're told. It's the same way when you're consulting with another church. You see their stuff and you can get in there and you can help them with it and give some advice on it. It feels super, super positive because you're not really there every day dealing with the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, and you also get the outside perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like you can see in and you've heard these stories before, and so you can have some insight that they're like, oh, that's really valuable.
Exactly.
I hadn't thought about it that way yet.
Yeah, and you've heard from so many different churches, there's certain things that are kind of common and certain solutions that kind of work. So it's fun to share those, and a lot of times people haven't heard those solutions yet, so they're excited to hear them, and they can start seeing the transformation because of them. It's just fun. I like it a lot.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It makes me think of two things. First is we joke about this pretty often. It's really easy to write somebody else's sermon. Yeah. So we've had a number of conversations where trying to figure this thing out. How do you do it? And then we'll both go off and just do this, just do that. Yeah. It's really when you're writing somebody else's sermon for them, it's really quick. You're not actually writing it. You just have the ideas. So just flow out.
It's happened so many times both ways. I'll talk about what I'm trying to study and write, and you'll say, hey, what about this? I'm like, how did I not think of that?
Exactly.
So, and sometimes it's been reversed. So it's just fun.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing that makes me think of is you said they'd heard of this church and of you. I think that's something that it's not like in corporate world, maybe you've heard of a company, everybody's heard of a company, but in the church world, it's not necessarily shared general knowledge of church's success in different places. But it's true. God's blessed this church through your leadership in pretty incredible ways, and so much so that people have sought out your advice over the years.
Yes.
So continuing on our leadership model and talking about leadership this summer.
Here we go.
The question and we've talked about this at the Leadership Academy we've done in the past. This is one of the topics, and it's one of the topics that I think you are really keen on. You've got a really good handle on thinking about this kind of stuff, and it's this overarching question. So I'm going to say the overarching question. Okay. And then I want to...
You're making me super curious right now.
Good. Hopefully nervous.
Maybe kind of excited. We'll see.
Good. So there's an overarching question, overarching idea, but then I want to dig down into the nitty gritty of a few specific ways that happens and how you think about it. And the overarching idea is this, and then I'll actually get into the questions.
Got it.
The overarching question is, how do you get results? How do you get results? And the reason I think I want to talk about that with you this morning, is because when you talk about results and getting results, there have been a lot of results here at this church, and it's something you value. It's something we talk about as a staff. We're not just going to do an idea because it's an idea that's interesting. We're going to do something because we believe, one, God wants us to do it, and two, it's going to actually get results. Mm-hmm. And so just talk about that general idea for a minute, what you think about that topic, why that means something to you.
Okay, well, first of all, let's just talk about that word results for a second.
Sure.
Let's take it out of the church world because people don't understand the church world that much because they don't work at a church and spend time on Sundays, but that's kind of about it. But we all know McDonald's, for instance. Yeah. So let's turn it into McDonald's now. How does McDonald's get results? Okay, would be the question.
Mm-hmm.
But to preface that, you would have to know, what do you consider results?
Yes.
Right? So let's go back to McDonald's. I would think their results are they want to sell a lot of hamburgers.
Yes.
Okay, that's got to be the goal at every McDonald's everywhere, and not just hamburgers, but their stuff, right? Well, we'll just call it hamburgers. McDonald's measures one thing: how many hamburgers do we sell? And if they sell enough hamburgers, that's a good result, and if they don't sell enough hamburgers, that's a bad result. Okay. So that's why McDonald's exists, to sell food.
Yep.
Right? No other reason. That's why McDonald's is there. So when you say now results at church, what kind of results are you talking about, Sam?
Can I go back to the McDonald's thing one second? Off of last week, you talked about why, right? That's the question.
Yep.
Your why is showing.
Yep.
Isn't McDonald's real reason just to make money?
Okay, but they make it by selling hamburgers.
Okay, so it's
right?
you're equating those.
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
Okay.
McDonald's wouldn't exist unless it was a profitable place.
Yes.
And it has been very, very profitable for many, many years.
Yep.
Because they sell a lot of their goods.
Yes.
And we'll just keep calling them hamburgers.
Okay, good deal.
So if McDonald's sells lots of hamburgers, they make a lot of money.
Yep.
That's why McDonald's exists.
Yep.
So what
Why?
Results are you talking about now for church?
Okay,
because at church, McDonald's is very pure, right? It's you sell hamburgers or you don't sell hamburgers. Churches are so much more diverse. Churches can exist for lots of reasons that maybe some aren't so good and maybe some are good. It doesn't have to be just one.
Yeah.
All right. So what results are you talking about then?
Well, this is really fun to talk about because, for the last number of years, we've had the mission statement of to help people take their next step in developing their relationship with God.
Right.
So it's all about drawing closer to God, having a next step. You're actually growing in that relationship. So for us, one result is a person taking a step that actually helps them draw closer to God. That's one result. Mm-hmm. And that can look a bunch of different ways.
Correct.
And so that's what I'm guessing the point you're thinking of.
Okay, no, I wasn't thinking of anything. I was truly curious of what you would say, but if that's the result we're looking for, okay, that's our purpose. That's why we're here. That's the mission. We want to help people get closer to God, right? So that's the one result.
Yeah.
Get closer to God. Great. Well then, why is that your result you're hoping for? And you're going to say, I'm hoping from the from the Bible.
Monkeys
right?
flying
almost,
everywhere.
Right? So from the Bible,
yeah,
right? You think that's the purpose for a church, to help people get closer to God.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. There are lots of ways to get closer to God.
Yes.
Right? And people can get closer to God and you don't even know they're getting closer to God. So there needs to be something that reveals that they're closer to God. So there has to be measurements. Like if you talk about results, McDonald's can count how many 50 billion burgers sold or whatever, right? There's a measurement. They put it. Do they still put it on the sign?
I was actually wondering if
it used to be, right?
Still.
like I remember being a little kid, like they sold 1 million burgers. This is crazy.
Burgers, yeah.
And now it's like 60 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is, right? 1 trillion burgers. So that's their measurement, right? How many burgers did they sell? So when we talk about people taking a step closer to God, what measurements do you want to use to determine if they got closer to God?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because I think for me the measurements that have mattered have shifted and formed a little bit over my years. It's been the same basic platform, but the ones that I've looked at have kind of shifted over time because when you think about it, what's really the thing under the thing is when you talk about people taking the next step, what we're really speaking about is discipleship, right?
Yes.
You're becoming a disciple of Jesus.
And a disciple would mean follower, and followers take steps.
Exactly.
So straight Bible.
But then when you're thinking about that, you look at a picture of a disciple, and what is it that they do? Mm-hmm. So they actually care for other people. They actually love other people. They teach or learn about what it looks like to follow Jesus. They're curious in that way. Those are some of the things.
So here we say everybody's all the time.
Yeah.
Those are, one of those is steps, but all those are indicators that someone's getting closer to God, right? If they're worshiping, mm-hmm. they're getting closer to God. So like worship, for example, you can look out at the crowd on a Sunday and try to determine how many people are actually engaged. Yeah. Right? Like not daydreaming, like thinking about their grocery list during the sermon or during the music or whatever, which is tempting, right? I've been in churches. Sometimes you daydream. I get it. I'm not offended by it. That's my fault if someone's daydreaming, right? I'm not interesting enough to pay attention to. If they fall asleep, that's my fault, right? So, but are they engaged? maybe they're praying during a song, right? You can just tell they're just praying, and that's beautiful. Or maybe they're singing, or maybe their hands are raised, or whatever. Are they engaged with the service as part of worship? Are they watching other people worship? That's not really what we're going for. That's not the measurement, right? If someone to watch other people worship isn't what we want. We want people to actually worship themselves, and they each worship in different ways. So there's a measurement right there.
Okay.
And that's more anecdotal, right?
Yeah, it is.
There's no graph somewhere like, 17 people were singing today and 20 tomorrow, and so it's grew. It's not like that, but you can observe it. You can feel it in the room. And that's something kind of blurry like worship. If it's something more measurable, like baptisms, for example.
Yes.
We have a baptism coming up in August. We've done it every year for, this will be our 18th or 19th baptism, 19th, I think, baptism. It's just something we do, and that's a measurement. Like people are going out into the water and saying, I believe in Jesus. That's a beautiful thing. It's just a beautiful thing. It's not the only measurement there is, but it's a really good measurement to know, are we being effective in teaching people that they should follow Jesus, and then teaching them what Scripture says about following, how people that follow Jesus get baptized.
Yeah.
It's in the Bible. It's not something we made up at RCC. It's an indicator of faith, that you're not afraid to share it with other people. So it's kind of awkward. Like churches can make it sort of weird. Baptism is this, baptism is that. It shouldn't be weird. It should just be you declaring your faith, and that's the biblical way to make that declaration. And so people do it, and we measure that, right? So there's a measurable thing that we would call a result.
Yep.
And if it's been a really good year, lots of people have taken that step and said, yes, I'm a follower of Jesus. I want the whole world to know. Who's ever at the beach that day, they're going to know. And they write out their story, like I didn't used to believe in Jesus, but then I made a choice to believe in Jesus, and here's how my life has changed.
Yeah.
Right? We call it a faith story, or sometimes churches call it a testimony. They share that, and to me, that's a tremendous result. Like their life has changed this year. Yay. Good for us. We've done something right for that person.
Yep, absolutely. So that's a measurable result.
Correct.
And when you're looking at results,
smiling children in children's ministry, that's a measurable result. Do they look bored and don't want to be there? Are they telling their parents they don't want to come? Or are they at home begging to come, and then you see and they're having a blast while they learn about Jesus or God or whatever this topic is for the day?
So what I hear you saying is that you got to know what your results are and what you want your measurable results to be in order to get them.
Yeah. Winners measure, losers don't.
Okay, great. So it's number 4.
In life.
Yeah.
Right? In life. Companies that are doing well, or new businesses are doing well, they know exactly how many widgets they sold and what their profit line or whatever is. The struggling business that's flubbing along is like, well, this happened and then that happened. I'm not really sure, and I'm waiting for this number. They don't really know. They don't really know. They don't really want to know, and they definitely don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
But a successful organization of any sort knows. A successful basketball coach knows his wins and losses.
Yeah. And
instantly.
all the stats.
And there's no excuses. It's like, well, how many did you win? Well, we would have won more if. No. How many did you win?
Yep. Okay. Sidebar. How excited are you for tonight?
Bucks, I'm excited. Yes, they got to win tonight.
Yeah, which we record on Tuesday, so we don't know the result at this point.
We don't know, but I'm excited. It's been 4 games now against the Nets, and 2 of them stunk, and 2 of them are good. So I don't really know what to think about tonight.
Okay, so it could anybody's game.
They've turned in a couple stinkers where I actually watched the game like, what are they doing? This isn't even the right team. So I don't know what happened, but now the last couple of games have been good. We'll see what happens tonight.
All right, and then it's is it 4 out of 7?
Yes.
Okay, so tonight's 3. So no deciding factor tonight.
Tonight's the 5th one, so the winner will have 3 wins.
Exactly, that's what I meant. Yeah.
But it's a big one.
Okay.
If you're 3-2, you just got to win 1 out of the last 2.
Yeah.
Is a lot better than having to win them both.
Okay, so off of this is really fun for me because it relates. I don't really follow basketball, but I was just checking out what the Bucks deal was, and I saw these articles pop up about the coach maybe not staying with them.
Yeah.
So this is like results, right? If somebody doesn't get results, but they're like how long in the playoffs are they at?
Like about halfway through.
That's a pretty big deal, right?
They're a good team.
Okay.
They're out of the 30-ish teams, they're definitely in the top 10.
And why would you fire a top 10 coach?
Because you're thinking you need to be top 1.
Okay.
And for the last couple of years, they've been in the top 4.
Yeah.
Or 6 or whatever. They're always right there, and they're very, very good. But at some point, is that good enough? Okay. Now, if you've stunk for 20 years like they did, at first, top 10 is like amazing.
Exactly.
After a little while, it's like, okay, well, that's just the top 10. We got to be first.
Okay.
People don't realize, though, there's only one team that's first out of 30 every year. So if you're amazingly good, you're only going to be the champion every 30 years or so, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just not that easy. There's great teams that never are champions. So I don't necessarily subscribe to like you got to win the championship to have a good season.
Totally.
Right.
That makes sense. But that's an interesting thing, right? So for some people, that's the result. And that's a very easy one to measure.
Yeah.
You either win or you don't. And then you change everything. But, okay. How do you get results? Going back to this, you say from the start, you actually have to know what the results you're hoping for are.
What are you looking for? What are your measurables? What and why is that one of your measurables? Why is it important to you?
Where do people go wrong with that?
Well, they pick the wrong things.
Yeah.
Just very, very simply, they're measuring something that isn't that important. Or they're not measuring. Well, first of all, not measuring at all. That's the real big one. This is like, well, we did it and it's probably good. We had good intentions.
Yeah.
Well, every church, basically, almost every business, they have good intentions. We want to make a really good hamburger because we like hamburgers and we're going to sell them, right? Good intentions for a hamburger place. Good intentions aren't enough.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have the right strategies. You have to have the right purpose, all that stuff too. So, and if you take into the church world, there's no church out there probably that wants to do crummy stuff.
Okay.
They're trying to do good.
Yeah.
But are they focused on what God's really called them to or not?
Yeah.
And if they are they honest with themselves enough to go, okay, this is working or it isn't?
Yeah.
Because you're going to fail. Everyone fails. That's okay. It's completely okay to fail. But you got to recognize, you got to be honest enough to say, okay, that was a failure and learn from it. What am I going to do different next time?
Yep.
And it's great. The more you fail, the more you learn. And the wisdom is not making the same mistake over and over. Right? So, we did this wrong. Great. We'll do it a different way next time.
Yeah.
And you fail and you fail and you fail until eventually you have more and more successes because you don't keep making the same mistakes. The pool of possible mistakes keeps getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah. You can fail if you don't learn. But if you learn, the failure is beneficial. It's actually learning.
Well, it's like growing up. When you're young, you tend to make more mistakes.
Yeah.
But sometimes, despite great advice from people that love you, your parents or whatever, you still make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
But then hopefully, as you grow through your teens and your 20s, you start going, okay, that was a mistake. I'm not doing that one again. Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done it this way. And then wise people eliminate those. They don't keep making those same mistakes. And as you get a little bit older, life just starts to get easier because you're not making the mistakes of your youth anymore. Same for church, same for business.
Okay. So a couple of different things we've got to play here. The first thing is we have to know what our results are that we want. Mm-hmm. And then when you don't make those, you're just learning along the way. But what do results and vision have to do with each other? So when we're trying to really think about organization, big picture, when you're going for something, and you know what your results are, how does that play into vision?
Well, vision's first.
Yeah.
Right? First it's the vision. This is why we're here. This is why I'm here as a person. This is why we have a family, whatever it is. This is why we're here. That's the vision. You could ask them, what's the vision for your family? I had a vision for my family. All right, let's take it out of church.
Sure.
I had a vision for my family. We got a couple little boys. What do I want? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of good things to want, right? There's a lot of good things to want. But you got to boil it down to just a couple. And for what I wanted from my boys when they were little boys was eventually when they grew up, they would form their own healthy relationship with God. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but it would be something they felt good about and they were understanding him and growing close to him in their own way. And I wanted them to have a healthy relationship with Janet and I as adults. That's it. Everything else came out of those two things. Done. So maybe there's good grades, maybe there's sports success, whatever. Those are all positive things. But in the end, it all had to equal, at the end, adults who have a great relationship with us and their own great relationship with God. That's what was most important to me.
I think that's the best parenting advice. Simply, and what's great about it is that I can immediately see how the choices that you make come out of that.
Exactly.
And the results you're looking for are shifted dramatically. You don't really care whether or not little Johnny's a NBA star or hitting all the shots from behind the 3-point line. It doesn't matter. You want them to be successful in the sense that they have a healthy relationship with God and a healthy relationship with you guys. And if you can do that, you can actually see the things you're actually caring about.
And I didn't invent that. Straight from the Bible.
Yep.
What does Jesus say? Love God and love other people. So there's the healthy relationship with God part.
Yep.
And love other people as their parents. We should be some of the most important people in their life. So if they have a good relationship with us and have learned the relationship dynamics, all that kind of stuff, how to learn from other people, respect other people, forgive other people, all that stuff with us, they should be that way with others too, their friends and future wives someday, whatever. They would treat them that exact same way. So that's straight Bible, right? Love God, love other people. That's our home.
Yeah.
Have a good relationship with God, have a good relationship with us. So it's not super complicated. It's nothing I invented. It's very, very simple, actually, but it does chart the course for everything else. Right? I don't care if you get an A in all your subjects and you're a jerk to your mother. I don't care.
Yep.
I'd rather you fail all your subjects and treat your mother well.
Yep.
Would be my preference in my home. Now, others have different preferences, whatever, but that was what was most important to me. And sure enough, now they're adults. We have a great relationship with them, so it worked. But that charts the course for all your other decisions. What's most important to you? And you can't say everything's most important. There can only be a few things that are most important.
Yeah, I love how that translates so well. Vision, what you want, and choosing well what you want and why you want it, and then to results, and the results you're actually going to measure and think about and put emphasis on. Yeah. But then
it changes like what you do. Like for us, and again, I'm not saying every family should do this, but for us, we had dinner together every night. And that gets tough as your kids get older and they're involved in different activities and stuff. It gets super hard. But we just prioritize that. So we always found a way, like 90% of the time, that all four of us would sit down at the same time and eat a dinner. That was just what we did. It was important because our relationship growing was important. I didn't want that to slide away.
Do you have a lot of memories from those, like just like crazy things that happen at dinner tables?
Yeah, I mean, you do it every day. I mean, it's not like it took an hour or whatever.
No,
it's 20
like,
minutes or
exactly.
half hour or whatever. But yeah, that was a chance to reconnect every single day, and good and bad. Like sometimes there'll be arguments at the table, whatever, but you're together.
Yeah.
And you can't have a good relationship with someone you don't spend any time with.
Yeah. That's really good. I want to zoom in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of talking big organization or big family, having a vision, thinking about what results that actually are, choosing what results you're going to measure, and then actually measuring those. What about when it gets to individuals? So you're trying to work with somebody, it's either an employee or one of your kids or whatever it ends up being, a volunteer. You want to get results from that person. How do you think about that? Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into RCC Unscripted. We're actually going to cut the episode right here because we had such an in-depth conversation about how to get results. It actually lasted longer than our typical episode. So we're going to break this episode into 2 parts. You've just finished listening to episode 1. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm excited for you to hear the rest of it next week. It'll be out again next Thursday. And we look forward to hearing what you think, and have yourselves an awesome week. We will see you with part 2 next week.